I think at one point you vowed never to come back to Minnesota after you lost the state in 2020. Is this a signal that you think you have a realistic chance to win the state of Minnesota in 2024?
Well, I never said I'd never come back. I never even thought of that. I thought I won in 2020, easily.
He actually did say it at a rally in Duluth in September of 2020 and appeared to be joking.
I lose Minnesota, I'm never coming back. I don't care. I'm never coming back.
Trump lost Minnesota by 7 points in 2020.
That clip right there is a microcosm of the entire Trump campaign. He has this tendency to say something absurd, then claim that's not what he said or not what he meant when he gets called out on it. This proves that he has no actual policy positions. He just throws stuff at the wall to see what sticks. We see this time and time again. We can look at abortion, where he won't give a solid position. He just vaguely says, let's leave it up to the states, which, by the way, leaves each state up to taking the most extreme measures. We see this with the border. Donald Trump says he wants to close the border, to shut it all down, but then when there is a perfectly good bill being drafted by Congress that will divert more funding towards Border Patrol agents and asylum judges, Donald Trump nukes that bill. We see this with drilling. He says he wants to drill, but Joe Biden is doing that. We are drilling at record amounts right now. After that interview, Trump gave a speech at a GOP fundraiser in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it was a complete mess. I mean, the audience was eating it up, but everything he was saying was either factually untrue or just an incoherent ramble. Watch this clip of Trump saying that he won Minnesota in 2016 and 2020 when we know that's not true.
I thought we won it in 2016. I know we won it in 2020. We gotta be.
Trump definitely did not win Minnesota in 2016 or in 2020, even if he thinks he did. President Biden actually blew him out of the water in Minnesota in 2020. But this is a guy who also thinks there was a top-down plot to steal the election, to rig it in all of the key swing states, but there's somehow no proof, no videos, no pictures, no paper trail, no evidence whatsoever. He also thinks he was justified in pressuring Mike Pence to override the results of the election, to subvert the will of the American people on January 6, 2021. So this guy may not have the best judgment when it comes to elections, or he's just straight up lying. Actually, we know he's lying. Everybody in his cabinet, people from Mike Pence to Bill Barr, who is the Attorney General, to Mark Meadows, all said, hey man, there's not any evidence of the election being stolen, but Donald Trump decided to double down on his stolen election claims. He tripled down. It's 4 years later, and he is still claiming that election was stolen when most of the American people know that is not true. Donald Trump then started doing that weird weightlifting thing again on stage. He really needs to stop doing this.
Mom, I don't know, Mom. This is a heavy sucker. Oh, Mom, I can't do it. Boom.
Donald Trump then began talking about immigration, and he didn't bring up Hannibal Lecter, but he did continue using that apocalyptic rhetoric by saying that immigrants are poisoning our country and insinuating that they commit a bunch of crime when they really don't. Immigrants commit less crime than native-born citizens because they're coming here to live a better life. But this apocalyptic, dehumanizing rhetoric that echoes exactly what Hitler said verbatim needs to stop.
They launched the attack right from the areas where they're coming into our country. We can't let this happen. We have to stop it. We're not going to have a country. We're poisoning our country. These people will be impossible to vet. The vast majority support Hamas, and even neighboring countries like Egypt and Jordan don't want them.
It really feels like he's using these speeches to workshop some shitty political stand-up routine that nobody wants to hear. Donald Trump then began rambling about Tic Tacs, sounding all out of breath. I don't really know what he was saying here. And listen, I get it. Public speaking is very hard. I speak a lot on a day-to-day basis in front of a camera, and I mess up. I stutter a lot. But the double standard that exists here just blows my mind, because if President Biden said this exact same thing verbatim in the clip I'm about to play, the right-wing media would not let go of it for months. They would literally not let go of it. My comment section on Instagram and TikTok would be flooded with, oh, remember when Biden said this about Tic Tacs?
Out there, because this is, okay, so I just got this today. Somebody handed it to me. It's a weird, and not as a joke. I said, anybody have any Tic Tacs? And the guy said, yeah, I have one. Look at the size of that sucker. Could you?
We then saw Trump almost fall off stage after leaning on his podium too hard. He has this bad habit of putting his full body weight against the podium. I don't know if he has trouble standing for long periods of time, but if you watch his speeches regularly, he's always gripping the podium like someone's gonna come try to take it from him. And this time, he almost fell, then he blamed it on the event workers in typical Donald Trump fashion by calling them crappy. He has this habit, again, of diverting responsibility to all of the people around him, not being able to take responsibility for anything he does whatsoever.
But Americans are not struggling. You know, this is the worst platform. Who put this stage up here? This is the worst. The frickin' place is falling down. I notice it keeps tilting further left. Like too many other things. What a crappy contractor this was.
Again, what is with this weird stand-up routine he always tries to do on stage? It's extra annoying because I have friends that are apolitical that don't really pay attention, and when they see clips of Trump just joking around on stage, they always say, oh, he's such a funny, like, sweet old guy, when this downplays the threat to democracy that he is. It's annoying that somebody can make up lies about election fraud that doesn't exist. They can try to overthrow an election, but as long as they're slightly funny on stage, the average voter will forget about the other stuff. Donald Trump then began talking about why he doesn't pay his bills when a contractor doesn't do a good job. But remember, this is not how reality works. You can't hire a contractor, have them do a job, then refuse to pay them based on whether or not you think they did a good job or not.
What a crappy contractor this was. No, it's true. You know, I'm known as being a pretty tough negotiator, and sometimes I get a bad rep. A contractor does a bad job. I met a lot of great contractors, but he does a bad job, I don't pay him.
If that's Donald Trump's actual philosophy, then that actually explains a lot. Remember a few months back when he walked into that Miami restaurant, shouted food for everyone, and then dipped? He left the restaurant before even being able to pay. He has a history of doing this. Trump is notorious for leaving a trail of unpaid bills wherever he goes. Hundreds of people have accused him of failing to pay them for services, ranging from a glass company in New Jersey to workers at his resorts, real estate brokers, and even law firms who represented him in suits for unpaid bills. And listen, I'm going to be 100% honest. After watching this speech a few times, it really does feel like Trump is suffering from some sort of cognitive decline. He was slurring his way through the entire speech. He seemed incredibly weak and just out of it. There were a few times where I was genuinely wondering if he was drunk on that stage. Like, genuinely, that's what I was wondering. And again, I understand that public speaking is not easy whatsoever, but Trump has a lot of experience with this, and he's running to be the president of the United States. So you have to be at least a little bit sharp. I'm going to play this clip one more time of him almost falling over and just watch it from my point of view. Like, don't you think he sounds drunk during this clip? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below.
Out there because this is okay. So I just got this today. Somebody handed it to me. It's a weird, and not as a joke. I said, anybody have any Tic Tacs? And the guy said, yeah, I have one. Look at the size of that sucker. Could you?
If you enjoy these hot takes, make sure to leave a like, make sure to hit the subscribe button, comment a blue heart if you made it this far in the video, and make sure you have a great day, everyone.